is love, joy, and peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. So let us walk in the Spirit. That's a nice song, Lulu.
I love that song, Max.
How are you feeling now?
Well, it's hanging in there.
Aww.
My cold doesn't want to seem to go away, but that's okay. It's not going to keep me down.
Okay.
Hey, we have covered a lot of fruit.
That's right.
Wow, we are on the second last one.
Oh,
Here we go, Max.
What is it now?
Do you know what the fruit is?
Yes, but I'm not telling.
Oh, it's meekness. It's
Meekness.
meekness.
Oh, that doesn't mean weakness, you said?
No, not weakness.
What is it?
Meekness.
Oh, meekness. Wow, we have learned so much. And for sure, like Pappy says, it is not it's not a one-time test, but rather a lifelong journey.
Excuse me.
Oh, take your time, Lulu.
Well, we know each fruit we have learned is impossible to do in our own strength. But with God, He says that all things are possible.
That's right. It's a good thing He is with us, because I'm telling you that some, if not all of these, are impossible for me to be without the Spirit's help.
I'm with you there, Max. I know that you have some qualities in your natural DNA or your personality that I do not have in mine. And you know what? That's why God made every one of us different, so we can learn from one another.
That's why. That's why we as friends, we need to help each other.
That's
So that we can see our weaknesses and our strengths. I think I have more weaknesses. For what they are, and they eventually will have less trouble with the weaknesses, and we have more strengths to be able to help others, like we help each other.
That's right. The key to being a good friend and to helping one another grow is not to criticize each other for
That's
things that we
right.
need to work on, but rather to help each other.
That's right. You're right there, Lulu. That's why it is important to be good friend. To be a good friend like you.
Oh, and you too, Max. I
Thanks.
value your friendship so much. What do you think of when you say meekness or someone that is meek?
Oh. Well, for me, I am weak, but meek, I don't know about that for me. Well, for me, I've always heard that Moses was the meekest man in the Bible. So I guess I would say Moses.
Yeah, me too. He's the first one I would think of, and that's exactly who I think of each time when I hear the word meekness. I did look up the meaning of the word though, Max, because Pappy's not here to explain it, but I figured it out.
So what did you find?
Meek means to be mild, gentle,
Oh.
free from retaliation. In other words, you don't want to get back at somebody.
Okay.
And self-defensiveness. In other words, if you say something to me, I'm not going to bark back at you saying,
Okay.
sticking up for myself.
All right.
Or, trying to get even with someone. We're not supposed to do that either.
Yeah, that sounds like Moses.
Yep.
Yet, I think that he put up with so much from people of Israel when they left Egypt that I surely would have lost my temper a lot sooner than he did.
That's for sure. And I think of all those times those people were murmuring or complaining and gossiping about Moses and complaining about food or water.
Oh,
They
that's
didn't like
right.
this, they didn't like that. And how Moses always wanted to help them and was always looking out for the best for the people.
And what I learned from Moses' life, I could see that it was not an easy life. Oh no. He knew he was adopted and was a Hebrew, but he saw his native people suffer under the hands of that Egyptian king. So he grew up in the palace watching all of this. Not easy at all.
And I remember you telling me about that bully that you had at school. And I wonder if Moses didn't get bullied a little bit even in the palace. But you know what? Even a prince can have hard times. While he was in the palace, he could see how his people, the Hebrew people, were not being treated very well, and this really bothered him.
I must have really bothered him because, as meek as he was, it must have really bothered him. He killed a soldier because he was mistreating one of God's people.
I know.
Oh, so even a meek person under extreme difficult situations can do wrong or sin against God if they are pushed far enough.
Oh, yes. That was not God's plan for
No.
Moses. And Moses kind of reacted instead of listening to what God, but I think he didn't have much teaching at that time.
Wow.
And God had to place him on the side of the desert for 40 years.
What?
40 years.
40? That's long.
It took 40 years for God to really be able to use Moses. Maybe Moses had to learn how not to retaliate or not to get even with someone when wrong was being to someone. So maybe he was trying to run ahead of God's plan. And God had sent him on the side of the desert for quite a while until he learned his lesson.
Wow. That's right. I never thought of it that way, Lulu. Things always get more complicated when we try to do things our way, don't they?
Yes, that's for sure. I'm sure that Moses learned this lesson while tending his sheep, because we can see how gentle and attentive he was when he led the people of Israel out of Egypt and away from slavery.
Well, what I take from this is that even though we are young, Lulu, we too can learn good characteristics or fruits to add to our life.
Yep, sure.
I think we can be like Moses and learn from our mistakes. There's a lot of learning for me these days.
That's me too. Wow.
God surely loved Moses, even though he made such a terrible mistake in killing the Egyptian. God still used him, and he was a great man.
You remember our definition said that meekness is free from retaliation, self-defensiveness, or avenging oneself. The wonderful thing we see in Moses is that he did not retaliate. He did not defend himself. He retaliated for God's people. That's why he killed that soldier. It wasn't for himself. He was looking out for them. That's the difference with Moses. He was trying to protect someone else. He did not care about himself. Moses was a strong person.
Mm-hmm.
And he demanded things when he had to, but he was really quite meek. And I believe the fruit of the spirit of meekness is what he possessed.
You're right, Lulu. That's why he was described in the Bible as the meekest person on earth. And God himself said that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I want to be that kind of person. Someone who really looks out for others. A person who is more interested in others than themselves. I think that's a good characteristic I would like to have.
Can you imagine God said that Moses was the meekest man on earth? Wow. Yeah, when that comes from God, it sure means something. I know, Max, that whatever the Lord asks of us to do, we can be sure He will give us the ability to accomplish whatever it is He wants us to do. Just like He did for Moses. But we always have to be like Moses too. Every time Moses had a decision to make, he always talked to God about it first. He never made a decision without thinking of the children of Israel before himself. Moses never took credit for himself either.
He's awesome.
He sure is. He never did care about what people thought of him. He only cared what God told him to do and what God wanted him to do.
Now that's a tall order, Lulu. I am going to do my best to be like Moses. and ask the Lord for wisdom every time I have to make any or all my decisions, then
Me too.
maybe I can be pleasing to the Lord like Moses was.
It's a tough one again, Max.
Tough one. Oh.
Wow, I can see why Pappy said this is a lifelong journey.
Oh, Papi was right.
We have a lot to learn, Max.
That's right.
But if we keep encouraging one another and asking God for help, then I'm sure we can be a godly example to others, just like Moses
love
was.
that very much.
How about you, boys and girls? Are you a meek person? Do you get angry when things go wrong? Or do you keep silent and bring it before the Lord and let Him work it out?
Here's a question for you kids, or the folks that are watching us. Do you obey your parents without questioning them for the reason why you have to obey them? I'm sure was disobedient at times, but that is a question for you to answer. Or is it all about what you want to do? Sometimes that happens, but think about the fruit of the Spirit. Are you a meek person? You always obey? What about you?
Well, I think we can learn to be meek and caring like Moses, remembering that it's not always about me or us, but it's about what the Lord wants us to do and what He desires in our lives.
That's right, Lulu. Well, I did like this another fruit of the Spirit today. I think that probably I could do this better than the long suffering. But we want to thank you for watching and staying with us. We thank you for your faithfulness in watching us and sticking with my friend here, Lulu. So,
yeah.
What's our next?
Oh,
do we still have another one?
It's the last one, Max.
Oh,
okay.
no! Last
Who can
one?
tell us? Who out there can tell us what the very last one is? Hey, Max, let's sing that song.
Okay.
But
The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness. Sing with us. Meekness, temperance, and that there is no law. So let us walk in the Spirit.
I think you must have heard what the last one was. We'll see you later.
Okay, bye. See you later.